Welcome to BarstoolBuddhas. It's that time of the week again. So first off, we're going to do the whole like, share thing. But right now we got some news. We're on so many platforms right now. We're on Rumble and YouTube for the video. And we're on iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, and Spotify for the audio. So we're not doing a lot of effort in re-editing for all of these. So instead of saying you to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff, do whatever's on your platform. They all have ways of doing that. So if you enjoy it wherever you are, hit the button, put a comment, like, share, whatever. So that'll help us out. All right. So been a big week this week.
Gosh, always, every week.
Yeah, I went traveling, and I had a good week this week. I went somewhere. I went back in time. I went to the free state of Texas.
Real America.
Oh, yeah. Well, I went down to the Brazos Valley down there, and that's for the hats.
Yeah.
Texas A&M is down in College Station where I was, and we would have worn a University of Texas hat or whatever. We would want to get one of each. But the fact is, College Station's pretty locked down with A&M, and I couldn't get a Texas hat. I wanted to get one of the things, the big Lone Star things. I couldn't find it, and all the stores in the airport didn't, all those kind of places that usually get one, they're not open right now. I guess they're afraid of selling something that's contaminated. But Texas was great. You can tell it's open. The airport, of course, has got the federal laws, and the hospitals and things. They got the health stuff's got to go on.
Were they in Houston?
You know, I was in College Station. I went through Houston.
You flew through Houston. Yeah.
But it was. You could actually feel the difference when you were there. And I talked to people, and I was really great because, like I say, I went back in time. It's like being in the rest of America in like 1970 or something. You know?
Or only 15, 20 years ago.
So it was like the people were great. And you know what was interesting was they still go around saying, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, thank you, please, you're welcome. And it's like, it's not forced. It's just how they do things. And so I met a lot of great people down there this week trying to help out down where I was working. But I just said, you know, and where we live is not bad. It's a lot like that, and I really appreciated that. But, you know, I got to tell you, every time I go to Texas, I like it more and more and more. And nothing against where we live. This part of the state where we live, not much difference. But it was great to know that some of that's still going on, and I suspect places like Idaho, Montana, the Dakotas, you know, the big square states, down in Florida, some stuff is still holding out. So we're wearing this just honor in Texas, you know. So the University of Tennessee fans don't get all racked out about it. You know?
Still SEC, baby.
Yeah.
We adopted them a couple of years ago when we took on Missouri and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I like to collect these wherever I go to say nice things, remember nice things about where I go. If I go to Portland, I'm probably not going to wear an Antifa mask. That's probably not going to happen. Probably won't happen. So no. So you know, we had the morons on the moon last week.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
Oh yeah.
You remember who won last week?
Who was our finalist?
United Airlines.
Oh yeah.
Remember throw baby from the plane?
And here we go again.
Well,
another airline.
I was on United this week. And I'm not going to piss them off. They treated me really nicely. It was a nice flight. It was on time. You know, they served Cokes. They did the stuff. It was really nice. It wasn't an unpleasant situation. But
for your attention, please keep your mask on at all times or you will be banned from flying.
I expected to hear that. I mentioned it last week. But here's what happened was my flight down there was about 2 hours. And this is roughly 2 hours back. So I decided to count how many times they told me that I had to wear the mask, what the repercussions were about not wearing a mask.
What do you think the over-under was?
I thought it was 3 or 4 or 5 times maybe.
How many?
It was 8 going down and 9 coming back.
Gosh.
Now, that's roughly every 15 minutes. Da-da-da-da-da-da, here it comes, lest you forget. That's the way you train. You take your dog to obedience school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You throw a bone, do this. Throw a bone, do this. It's just a repetition. So my thinking is, why don't they just have a big lit sign that says, put the mask on, or have with the little thing up there with the no smoking sign and the seatbelt sign. Your mask must be on, and just have it flashing. You know. It's just, what nonsense.
Leave us alone. Leave us
So
alone.
we're not going to pick on United next week. The reason I picked on United is I have been on other airlines, and they don't take it to that extent. So I don't know. Maybe they think they're doing some social good with that. I hope they have good intention, but it drives you nuts.
Good intentions. Really gotten screwed up lately.
So the other thing that we wanted to talk about, I think, was the injections and the vaccines. You know, so we were told that maybe by Memorial Day, everybody would have enough vaccines that we were going to move around, and Joe told us we'd be okay, right? Well, J&J and AstraZeneca, half of what we have available vaccines is not available right now. So what does that mean? Are we going to stretch this out to Labor Day or Thanksgiving or New Year's?
Now there needs to be a third shot.
Now
you may have to get vaccinated annually. They have no idea.
Wait a minute.
They haven't.
You didn't see this coming. The government bankrolled all these vaccines. So we're all going to take our vaccine. Our government's paying for ours, but then we're going to sell it to the rest of the world. Think about that. They're going to make some big money here. So I don't mean to be so jaundiced and jaded, but that's what's going to happen. This is not a surprise at all.
No.
So
never waste a crisis, right?
No, but I want to talk about something else positive today because I went to Texas, and I've been listening to this Texas guy. He's a movie star, been out for a while. Matthew McConaughey. He's been in a lot of movies. He's in that Wolf of Wall Street. Hey, remember that? That was great. And he did a lot of other really good movies, and Lincoln Lawyer was a good movie too. But he's been doing a lot of motivational stuff on YouTube.
The speech he gave at the university a couple of years ago is really very good.
Yeah, he seems to be pretty level-headed. I don't generally trust Hollywood people when they talk, but the guy lives in Texas. So what Matthew did,
a real guy.
Matthew had this thing, what he did, I'll call him Matthew, he decided it was time to take stock of his life, and he went out in the desert for a number of weeks and contemplated his life and took his notes and his diaries and whatever, and he came up with this book. It's called Greenlights, and just for the record, I bought this book. Matthew didn't sign it for me. I'm not on his Christmas card list at all. I'm not trying to sell this book, although it won't break my heart if everybody reads it. But two things impressed me about this book. It's a very positive book, a very thoughtful book. He's exploring his life and where he started and the things that happened in his life and how it got him where he is and how he used those lessons and the whole act of contemplating his life and going back. He seems to be a person that checks in with himself on and on. But the title, look at the title, Greenlights. It's not like the trauma of my life from poverty in Texas or Matthew's challenges or rising above the Bison Trail or whatever the hell it is in Texas. It's really nice. Greenlights, and that's a very positive message. Now, it resonated with me because his father and my father, I suspect we might be related. His methodology in training a child and his strict things that he did, Matt, buddy, I've been there, and I'm like you. Some of the folks in my family held some things against my father for years before they worked through them, and that's part of any process, But the fact is, I got to the same place that he did. My parents did what they could do. Sometimes they screwed things up. Sometimes they weren't nice people. But you know what? Sometimes they were, and they gave all they had.
It's people being people.
Yeah, so anyway, I won't speak for what's in this book for Matthew, except to say it's a very positive message. And I guess if you were on the left, you might take exception with some of it. But it's really pretty down the middle of the road common sense stuff. And I really like this
common
book.
Sense. Oh, that's we're so lacking common sense these days.
Well, you can't call it that anymore. It's not common. I would call it exceptional sense. You be the exception, but have some of this. Yeah.
Oh, please.
So, moving on, we're not going to try to be as heavy this week because there's so much stuff going on with all the shootings and all that stuff. And,
it's unreal.
I watch all these films, and it's easy to jump to conclusions, and there's a lot of different kinds of shootings going on. So I'm waiting on due process and facts.
You always say that, and you got to do that, but the media wants to exploit it the minute they hear about it, build it up. Politicians want to jump in on their side, whatever it is. I don't care anymore. Yeah. Just let justice. We have a good justice system. There are some flaws, but you have to let the process play out. You can't riot. You can't go burn down somebody's house. You can't go protest in their neighborhood. Just let the process work. It really does work. But you're being told it doesn't work. You're being fooled.
Well, there's an old saying, you can't you can't believe what you see and only half of what you hear. If you weren't there and you're not privy to all the facts, you need to hold off because somebody has the job of finding out what it is. So,
Well,
okay.
and you can also marry your cousin, but you ought not have kids.
Well, there goes Kentucky. So, we gave you guys a movie of the week recommendation last week, and it was Idiocracy. I hope you watched. I hope you enjoyed it. I watched it again, and I'm like, it's not War and Peace, but it works. For what it's doing, it works. So this week we came up with another one, and it's from 1976, and it's going to look a little dated, and the whole formats, the 70s movies were different, but it's network, 1976.
It's so accurate.
And it's another prophetic movie.
Yep.
The guy works in the network news, and he's well regarded, and he either has it's either of an epiphany, a moment of enlightenment, or he's having a complete mental breakdown. But
Yeah.
he comes to the conclusion that everybody's being spoon-fed large measures of bullshit, and he's over it, and he lets people know, and he starts a movement about that. But it's all about the press and manipulating facts and making your life go one way or the other through things that they want you to hear rather than what's real out there. So if you haven't watched that movie, go watch that movie. It's really great. So we wanted to go into something today to end up this podcast today, is that the math of living on a crowded planet. So if you listen to TV, we should all sing Kumbaya and hold hands, and we're all responsible for each other, this, that, and that. In a bigger sense, I agree with that. But on a day-to-day basis, what can you do to live your life in an effective way and have a good impact, right? We talked about impact last week. Okay, so I got to thinking. There's 7.5 billion people on the planet, right? Give or take. So if we give everybody the quality of life that they need and they make 75 years, you get, okay. So if you could freeze that whole time frame, you'd have to meet 100 million people a year to meet everybody on the planet.
Right.
So what does that mean? That means you're never going to meet very many people. So if you divide the years times the people, that gives you your relationship pool, And so
narrows it down pretty slim,
what's your opportunity to actually meet who you're going to meet and do what you're going to do with? Those are the people that you have to have relationships with in your community or whatever. And those people have their own opinions. And so working together, you can have the society or the community that you want by realizing that's the group of people that you can work with. And going back to Matthew's book here, if you're contemplating who and what you are and what you need to do in life, you can apply that to the group of people that you can affect, which is your community, your family, by being the best you can be, or at least moving towards that. So sounds a little preachy, but it takes a lot of pressure off. I'm watching stuff go on in California. It gives me some distress, but I don't know that I can do much about that. But over here, when I see those kinds of things happening in my community,
you can do something.
I can act in a positive way to help get past that problem. Right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So,
positive being the key point there. You got to do something in a positive way. All this negativity we have we're living with right now is just dividing everyone. They're trying to break us down to the smallest quotient, pigeonhole everyone. It's just really disturbing. So be positive. Stay on your game.
So, a suggestion for this week, try it out, see if it works for you. You're not going to be able to be positive with everybody. That's just the nature of life, whatever. But you don't need to engage with a lot of negativity. So, the thing you can try to do is love others enough just to let them be.
Yeah.
If you can't do something positive, just let them be, okay? Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is nothing.
Nothing.
Now, that sounds kind of counterintuitive.
No.
But think about something very nice you want to do. You're going down the street and you're seeing a guy sitting on the side of the road, and he's obviously having a problem with alcohol and homelessness and whatever he's got. You can give that guy a $5 bill, and he may use it for food and he may not. Your intention is great. Mm-hmm. You may set a string of actions down the road that's not good for that guy.
Right.
Bring him some food. Mm-hmm. Take him to a shelter. That's compassion in measure in terms of what you're doing for the outcome. Right. Whatever. It presumes that maybe you know a little more than they do, and that's a dangerous place to go. But, you know.
Can never assume that with anybody you sit with.
Exactly so. So, contemplate your actions and motives and apply that as the baseline for the quality check in your life and the people around you, and things will probably get better for you. So I think we tried to keep it a little shorter this time, a little more upbeat, a little more positive things. Some things we'll get heavy again the next one. There's all kind of heavy stuff waiting at the door to come in, but we thought we would just be pleasant and positive today, right?
Today was a good day.
All right. So you got anything else?
That's it.
We're out. See you next week.